Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock on Thursday, the 20th of October, and I'm Daniel Tyson with your latest news headlines on Solent Journalism Radio. The pressure on Prime Minister Liz Truss is intensifying, with the situation in Parliament changing rapidly today. Joining me in the studio now is our political correspondent Benjamin Axon, who is going to give us an update. So Ben, what exactly has happened in Westminster today?
Hi Daniel, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been a fascinating 24 hours in Parliament. Let's catch you up what happened yesterday. We had the Prime Minister's questions. Liz performed fairly well in the PMQs, saying that she is a fighter, not a quitter. But what followed was a series of scandals that each one could be their own story. It's been really turbulent. Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, resigned following an email leak. Her resignation letter was fairly scathing, saying the government should effectively change or abandon Liz Truss. Grant Shapps is her replacement. Grant Shapps, vocally a Truss critic, is now alongside Liz. There's also drama with the Chief Whip. She resigned and then came back into her role, and there was also talk of manhandling in the House of Commons, with Jacob Rees-Mogg's name mentioned in that. Very turbulent.
That's a lot of stuff happening at once, isn't it? Based on given circumstances, what else could we see happen by the end of the day?
Well, anything, really. Anything is possible and plausible. We know right now that Sir Graham Brady, chair of the 1922 committee, is in number 10 Downing Street talking to Liz Truss, as well as her deputy, Therese Coffey. We don't know what that conversation's about. The idea is that Prime Minister Liz Truss called the meeting to see what kind of the picture of her is within the Conservative Party, what the feeling is. And the feeling with most people is that her time is running out. Her position may well be untenable. We may see a resignation today. We may not. It is unclear at this moment.
That was our political correspondent Benjamin Axon. Thank you very much. Southampton students are facing another month living in hotel rooms following a flood at their hall of residence. They have been living in a temporary accommodation since October the 1st after a burst pipe flooded their rooms. Our editor Bianca Capatina has been following the story since the beginning and has the latest.
On the 1st of October, Mercury Point student accommodation in Southampton got flooded. This forced over 200 students to temporarily be moved into hotel rooms while the situation was dealt with. Now, almost 3 weeks later, students have been told that repairs and safety checks are still taking place, and it looks like they will only be able to move back into their rooms on the 23rd of November. Mercury Point has offered them a £25 allowance a day to cover food expenses, and they will also pay for transport, hotels, and the transport company that will have to pick students' stuff up. Both Mercury Point and the company who owns them, Unite Students, have declined to comment on this issue.
That was our editor Bianca Capatina. It may seem strange given the weather today, but the hosepipe ban introduced this summer has been extended for parts of southern England, including Southampton. Using hosepipes to water gardens, clean cars and fill swimming pools is not allowed under the measures. According to Southern Water, the levels of the River Test are still around 25% lower than they should be at this time of year. Customers who ignore the given restrictions may be fined up to £1,000. The controversial e-scooters will stay in Southampton, Portsmouth and the Isle of Wight for a little bit longer than originally planned. The scheme, operated by Voi, began in March 2021 and has more than 1,200 personal vehicles available for hire across the city. Our reporter Rachel Chambers has more on the story.
The e-scooter scheme that was due to end in a month's time has now been extended by another 18 months, despite all the controversies. The trial is now expected to end in May 2024. Along with the e-scooter extension scheme, the Southampton City Council has launched the new bike share scheme known as Beryl Bikes by Breeze. I'm Rachel Chambers for Solent Journalism.
In order to make mental health resources in Southampton more accessible, a new website is to be launched by local charities in cooperation with the NHS. Let's hear from our correspondent Isabel Halstead, who has approached a trustee member at Southampton Mental Health Network.
Autumn has arrived and the days are getting colder and darker. With that, many people are struggling with their mental health due to the sudden change of weather. A new charity has been set up aiming to create an online space where people can find all resources regarding mental health in one place. I spoke to the Board of Trustees at the Southampton Mental Health Network, Susan Hayward. She explains what the goals are and what resources will be available.
We have one overriding goal, and that is to make Southampton a mental health friendly city for all. And that means in the fullest context in terms of equality, diversity and inclusion. It was set up. We realize that there is, to some extent, a much greater offering in terms of mental health support, but a lot of people didn't know it existed. Our membership is both the service users on the one hand, which will be the people with poor mental health, people with a mental health diagnosis. It will be their family, friends and carers. And then there's a wide range of organizations getting involved in us. So I think the strength of the network is that you take all our parts and put them together and it far exceeds the value of the whole.
An event has been set up for the 1st of November at West Quay, aiming to promote positive workplace mental well-being for all. This will take place from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Susan shares some tips for university students who are dealing with stress and or loneliness.
I think the 3 core strands of good mental health are sleep, so getting enough sleep, but not just in terms of hours, but the quality of sleep, getting some good sleep. And if that means putting up blackout blinds, burying your head, wearing ear masks and an eye mask, then do it. Okay, so it's getting enough sleep, getting enough quality sleep. You can't expect to be on your best if you're burning a candle at both ends. The second one is physical activity. You need to get out, you need to get some fresh air. So get involved in physical activity. Get out, walk around the block. The third thing is nutrition. Now, please, I'm not saying diet here, I'm talking nutrition. You know, if you're not eating properly, if your body's not getting the vitamins, the minerals, the carbohydrates, etc., that it needs, how can you expect it to function? Getting out of your room, getting some physical activity. Hey, there's nothing better than physical activity with friends. So if you're feeling lonely, so reach out and talk to people.
If you are struggling, feel free to contact a mental health team at your university or reach out to family or friends. The Southampton Mental Health Network website can be found under www.smhn.org.uk. Happiness can be found in even the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light. Albus Dumbledore. This was Isabel Helshett for Solent Journalism.
The annual Halloween festival is underway at the Sunfields Organic Farm just outside Southampton. Children can join pumpkin carving sessions from now and through the half term. We'll have a full report in our TV bulletin at 3. But just before we go, some sport. Ralph Hasenhüttl seems safe in his job for now after Southampton beat Bournemouth in the Premier League last night. The win moves the Saints out of the relegation zone and up to 14. However, they face league leaders Arsenal at St Mary's on Sunday. That's all from us for now. You can find all our stories and more at solentjournalism.co.uk. Also, don't miss our TV bulletin at 3 o'clock. This has been Daniel Tyson for Solent Journalism.